Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty well. I'm habitually early, so
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
oh, of course. Yeah, thanks for helping us, having us on, man. I super appreciate it. I tell people all the time is the commodity you can't get back. So you taking the time means a lot.
Oh, and I
Oop.
absolutely feel the same way. And it's great to be able to talk about some great new music that's coming out next month. I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album for a bit of time now, and of course, listening to it again before we started talking here, and being able to just dissect it with my ears a little bit more, and just like really engaging with everything that's going on. And I just love how this album comes together from start to finish. It feels like everything was meant to be this way. I love how it conceptually feels like every song is meant to be on here, how it all works together in the story and everything. It for this style of music, it just feels like it works for perfection, and it's so great to be able to see this coming out next month.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I spent a lot of time putting together the playlist actually to make sure that everything fit, conceptually. It came about as a concept album as we were writing lyrics. It took us a little while to kind of solidify everything. And as I was writing, I was like, I think this is the story. I'm a sci-fi nerd. It's Deserts of Mars. So like, I love all the metal that has to do with like sci-fi and storytelling and everything like that. And I knew that, not everybody's going to listen to this album as a complete piece, but I think about every album that way. So if you do listen to it from front to back, you're rewarded with that journey. Because I think my favorite albums, take you on a journey, and they start and end, and when you end it, you feel this like, wow, I've been through that. So that was a big deal, and I'm so happy you picked up on that. That's amazing. And Jeff Henson, who was our producer, really, I mean, he's great to work with. I mean, he's worked with a lot of great bands. So this is our second time with this band with him, and then he also did my wife and I's album for Rise from Fires. He's just, he's not a he's kind of a perfectionist as far as what he wants. He doesn't want to. He's like, I want to make great albums, and that's my calling card, and that's his goal. So he doesn't let you slide with anything, within reason. So uh, that's all. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you pointed that out. I was going to bring that up later, but I think it's a good point now where uh it's so great to be able to have the right people in the band that you're looking for to be able to work towards a common goal to make sure that the album's the best that it possibly can be. But I don't think enough people talk about the people who work behind the boards, that work on the other side of making sure that a band's album is going to sound the best that it possibly can be. So when you find the right producer, when you find the right mixing, mastering, label, PR, all of that stuff. Like all of that matters so much, and it still matters to this day. And when you can find the right people who work towards that same goal and push you to be the best that you possibly can be, it's just going to make everything work that much better. And I'm glad that you
Yeah.
found that.
Yeah, he's awesome. Like I said, like, and we worked really hard. Like, vocals are always the thing that I am concerned about. I've been doing vocals a long time, but it's always like you can always do better in that way, in just figuring that out. So he's also a really big vocal producer. So that was a big deal. Hey, I think this is the vibe. We did a lot of rewriting in the studio as well to just make things better, simplifying some things, cutting choruses here, rearranging things, rearranging lyrics so they sound good when you say certain words or sing them a certain way. So having somebody in your court who's just there to be objective and go, you know what, that's not the best, or that okay, that's really good. Let's do that again. There's a chorus bit maybe that is like, hey, let's extend that. Let's that's the meat. That's the meat thing. Let's give people a little bit more of that, like when it's really nice. So, yeah, I'm in total agreement. I would, I highly recommend, because now we live in a day and age where you can record a really good album in your home with the right equipment. But taking it to that next level often involves having somebody who's there to be objective, you know, and that's a big deal to us.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I really love and appreciate the way that this came out. I mean, everything from the instrumentation to the lyrical concepts to the production. It's just like it really does have that journey that you're speaking about before. And I'm also very much still an album guy. Like, I love listening to albums from start to finish. I mean, singles can be great, but it's just like reading a chapter off of an album or just like seeing one episode of something off of TV. It's not everything that is a part of it. I want to be able to experience it from start to finish. So when a band really does care about the full album process and making sure that it's the best that it possibly can be, not put any kind of filler on the album, making sure that every note, every song, everything matters is still so great to see. And I hope people will be able to pick up on that as much as I have next month as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I had to actually, I was actually worrying about it so much, and not to belabor it, but Jeff goes, "You're overthinking this, man. Like, like no, it has to. I even picked up like there was always a time when never had, for example, had to follow like in the way that it followed. Like there was little like you notice how a key is, and I rearranged some things because there's like Shaluminati, for example, doesn't follow the exact narrative. It's one of the songs going on the album, but it wasn't. It's a little bit looser in the concept of things. It was more about kind of the statement I wanted to make at the time. But the way it had to flow, and actually, we do that same thing when we're building our set list too. Like, let's take the audience on a journey. Let's, well, this is a little bit too similar. Like we had too many shuffle things in this area, or how do we ebb and flow so it takes people on a journey? I'm really into that. That's all the stuff that you know made me want to be a musician, made me want to listen to music when I was, when I first started really getting into, buying my own albums and stuff like that. I really had a hand in my own musical journey. That's the kind of things that I gravitated towards.
Oh yeah, and it makes all the sense in the world too, and it shows the passion that really drives that as well too. Because it could be simple, just like let's just play all our biggest songs on streaming and just find some way to be able to put that together. No, like I love the fact that you're actually wanting the the audience to be able to have this kind of experience, this kind of musical journey to go through all of it, because it it can be a challenge, making sure that you don't have all the heavy songs in one part and then all the mellow songs and stuff like that. You want it to ebb and flow and make
Right.
it a really good set, whether you're doing 25 minutes, whether you're doing 45 minutes, whether you're doing a full headlining set, it all matters and everything can change so much. So the fact that you put that time and effort into it, it's all the more reason to go check you guys out.
Thanks. Yeah. We try, man. you know.
Oh, definitely. So, with that in mind, what was it like to start writing this album?
Um, it had its ups and downs. Our writing process is usually either I'll come up with a riff, or at the time when Bradley was with us, sadly he had to leave the band when we were recording. Just a bunch of life stuff, but we would start writing riffs. I usually record them on phone, and take those videos, upload them to our drive, our Google Drive, and then we start picking through them and go, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. Lyrically, I'll usually start uh, just kind of singing something that sounds like it fits, and some of those end up being the theme for the song, and sometimes they're just like a jumping off point. And then we'll start reviewing that. We'll go through the drive periodically and then start. But as I was writing a couple of different things, like I started to kind of come back to this idea of these, people crashing. And it was, I go with a little bit of metaphor as well. So part of it came out of being on lockdown, kind of our frustrations. We were just about to play a really great show at South by, at the time, and everything just kind of fell apart for everybody. It was a lot of hard times. People and close people. The song "The Fallen" was written about people we had lost. Like we all lost friends and family members and everything during that time period. So a lot of it was coming out of that, and the the dead planet kind of metaphor was this, like, what do we do? What do we do as a band? What do we do as friends, as people? Do we continue? That kind of stuff. So there's a narrative. I like having that subtext in there as well. That's kind of how I always write things. There's usually a little bit of a different meaning. Some are more overt than others. But we put together. We did a bunch of demos. They weren't the best demos, so luckily that Jeff kind of worked with us and was like, you know what, we need to really fix these things and do this kind of stuff. And from there, uh, we just kind of started putting it together. After Bradley left, I hired another friend of ours to do guitars, and Jeff Henson also worked on guitars. But I tried to keep as much of the stuff that Bradley had recorded because he was he's a friend. Like, we're still good friends. He's an amazing musician. He's doing more music, but I wanted to keep uh, as much of that as possible. He helped write these songs, so it's important to me. I'm a big proponent of paying it forward, of giving people credit, of making sure, like, yes, there's a business side to a band, but it was very important to me that we try to keep as much of that flavor as possible. But also, the flip side of that is we had to make the best darn record we could, right? So there's a lot of guitar on the album. It's been really challenging, actually, for our guitarist Coda to sometimes pick out, like, hey, which of these leads am I playing? Because we're a three-piece. So the most advantageous would be if we were a four-piece. So as he's been learning the songs, it's been this kind of like, okay, well, the way I split my bass sound, I have kind of a guitar A side and a bass E side. So I'm handling a lot of the rhythm. Like, I play a very rhythm guitar, very Motorhead style. Uh, when I'm playing or when I'm writing. So I've handled the rhythm guitar a lot, and it's been him, like, I'm like, okay, well, this high part here, do this, and then come back in. I think we can really, like, live we might go, okay, well, rhythm guitar really has to come through because this is the heavy part. Like, we really need to sync up. But I'm also a big fan of, like, I all the nice harmony parts, and you'll hear a lot of it in bands like Thin Lizzy, Iron Maiden, any band where you have a lot of harmony. I'm a huge proponent of that. So I came up with the term, or I use the term, the majesty. So when it flows and it lifts, and you have this amazing sweeping thing. I'm like, oh, put in the majesty, right? And so a lot of that I try. We're looking for that moment when we're recording too, where as we were working together with guitar, I would often sing, like, hey, what if the solo was like this? Because I think some of the best solos are ones you can sing. Again, going back to, I mean, look at, like, those Maiden Rio concerts where people are singing the solos. And, like, what? How? If that ever happened, I would just be out of my mind. But that kind of stuff is how we started kind of coming up with, what if it did this? What if it did that? And then, end result again is Jeff, twiddling knobs and doing the best thing, and we go back and forth. And I am pretty happy with how the sounds. I mean, I love what we've done in the past, but this was kind of our make and break. To me, it was a make or break. Like, we don't have a choice. I'm getting older. I want the best freaking thing we can do right now. And that was always the what we wanted to do.
You still there?
Oh yeah, sorry. I had a brief internet problem. I don't know. We had some issues earlier. Sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem. Just wanted to make sure everything was
One
still
second. I'm
good.
gonna close something down. Yeah, let me close something down here real quick. Is that better for you?
Yeah, it seems like it is so far.
Okay, cool, cool.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, and I really do love the fact again that you put so much time and effort into all this, and it sounds like everyone else around you is feeling the same way. And the fact that you did really need to make this like a make or break album. It really does feel like a make album as well too, because I mean, just like everything feels like it's at 11 on here. I mean, whether it's more subdued, whether it's more some of the rockin' tracks on here, whether it's more of like that doomy sound, like everything a part of this feels like it's made the best that it possibly can be. And I really hope people will be able to pick up on that as well too, because it's whether you're looking at the subtext of it all, of the concept story, and of course of being so inspired by everything that's happened, like during and post pandemic, lineup changes, everything that happens in life. Like you can relate to those kind of things, sadly, because like with the pandemic, we all lost people, we all lost opportunities, we all lost something a part of the pandemic, and you can really feel like that anger that comes with that, the sadness that comes with that, the wanting to break away from all of that in here as well too. And again, I think people are going to be able to pick up on that, but the more that I listen, the more that I pick up on it, and the more I'm able to appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks. That does my, we live when you're making an album and even up to pre-release, you kind of live in a vacuum. Like, even though we've been playing some of these new songs in our shows, you, you don't really know until it's out there, right? So all the things you're saying, I'm like, "Phew, okay, we did we did it. Great. We can't rest on our laurels, but that's good to hear because it's so hard to tell, and you're hanging out with your friends, of course they're gonna it's different from just somebody who's picking up the album to listen to it. Like, oh no, man, that's cool. It's but hearing that you get it, whew, that made my week. Month, year, whatever.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to be able to bring that to you, and I think people will be able to pick up on that as well. But when you finally heard the final product for the first time, like through all the trials and tribulations, what did you think the first time that you heard it?
Oh, there's just so many bits that were like, oh, that's okay. That's it. That's what we were going for. That's what we were striving for. Of course, when you're an artist, you always hear like, maybe that could have been a little better. Or what if I had said this one tweet lyric? Or, you know what I mean? Like, you always hear that. But also, I am a huge, like, I'm a production person. And, I try to let people do their jobs. But when I get the tracks, I'm listening to them through a jam box, my phone, my radio in my car, my wife's stereo, uh, headphones, not headphone, like a PC, like any speaker I can possibly find, from high end to just crappy, tinny as hell. Uh, I want people, I want to make sure that I'm capturing that. So you kind of hit in the middle of that, right? There's some tracks I think benefit from you having headphones on. I'm a big proponent of that. But also, a lot of people listen to albums on their phone for whatever. Like, that's just how it is, right? So you have to get that. But I was really happy that through, okay, this is this point in time for us. This is us leveling up and really concentrating on exactly what we want to do. And for myself, being kind of the driving member, founding member, and all lyrics are mine, vocal harmonies are mine, that kind of stuff. Like, it really meant I had to be on point. Like, I had to really, really listen. So I was just, it blew me away. I still listen to it. I know some people like that to me, also the other, it's been nice because, my wife had songs. She's a musician as well. We met through Musicians Wanted ad. Like, she understands the musical journey. And when songs get stuck in her head, I know it's good. So when she was like, "Oh, I can't, I keep hearing this, track or this melody," I'm like, yes, I got it.
Oh, that's so great to hear. And actually, upon hearing that, you did mention before that you do have another band with your wife. Like, what is it like to work on something like that? I imagine it doesn't sound exactly like Deserts on Mars. So, like, what's it like to do something different than that, especially with someone that you're so close to?
It's challenging. We don't have the band now. She's moved on from doing, performing, and she's actually writing novels now. Like that's what she decided to do with her creative energy. Music was always kind of up and down, but she's written a bunch of musicals as well. Like, uh, I mean, we started in kind of goth industrial band. That was our first band together, called Antigone, and our demos were actually done by the same guy who did Transmission, who produced Transmission. I looked him up when we were recording that album. Um, and Rise from Fire, yeah, is definitely different. We had two basses. She played regular bass, and I played what I called guitar bass. I modified a 5 string to have the high string as the low, and that was really cool and fun. And it is challenging though because unlike I've told people this story, but unlike normal band, where if you don't quite gel in practice, you can you kind of go your separate ways and then you come back to the next practice. However, if I didn't practice enough in Rise from Fire, or if I wasn't as diligent, the ride home, and I mess up a lot in practice, guess what? The ride home is a lot more awkward. And so that's its own challenge. Hey, so you know all your parts, right? Oh yeah, like you know. But it was also, I mean, it's also cool to, we both are passionate about what we do, so that part was really really cool. Um, finding, like, a lot of it is finding that dynamic, what works and what doesn't. Like every band has just a, you know, I eschew drama, so I try not to have a lot of, I don't want any drama in my band. I want to work things out. I want to be a good person, all that. You know, there are some bands where the drama causes that tension that makes the music like what it is, but that can also burn out, right? So, for that, for Rise from Fire, yeah, it is totally different. More hard rock, more a little darker. I kind of say like there was a lot of kind of breadth. So I used Concrete Blonde as an example for kind of the breadth that we had on that project. Um, I miss playing with her sometimes, but that I understand. Like she was just like, I don't know if I have it in me to keep trying to book shows and get back into things and do that. And just, there's a lot. And sometimes I'll be like, I'll talk about the kind of trials and tribulations that we're, keeping members together, doing, scheduling everything, getting everything together. She's like, yeah, I kind of don't miss that part. So I get it. Right.
Definitely all too relatable. But I'm glad to see everything that's going on with on Mars is seems like it is going in the right direction now. I mean, obviously a lot of trials and tribulations going along with there now, but the fact that the album is coming out next month, I imagine shows are also on the horizon as well, right?
Yeah, we have been getting pretty good shows around town. It's good to be back in the mix. I missed that for my birthday, um, previously, the year before. I had a big, my wife's like, "Hey, this is a milestone birthday. What do you want to do?" And my answer was, "I wanted to play a show." So we did that. That's what I wanted. I love parking sucks. Hauling your crap in and out sucks. But when you're hit that stage, like all that, when you hit that and it's great, that's the magic, right? And I love that. So yeah, we're playing, and I'm about to take a kind of film vacation, but we have a gig in a couple weeks. After I get back from that, and then we're actually playing our new guitarist Coda's wedding reception. So he's getting married. And I was like, dude, are you sure you want us to play like your weddings? Nah, man, this has to be like, let's do this. his fiance is really into it, and she loves how he, like when she was first listening to, she's like, "You got to be in this band. Like this is the you got this is the thing." And him playing on stage, she's noticed like, hey, he never was into it this way or that way. So that's all the stuff that you hear that you're like, oh, okay, we're doing the right thing, right? And we're booking, more. I would love to play. I want to keep pushing it, play as many places as possible, get out there and tour. We're all doing our day jobs aren't as amenable to touring as I perhaps would like, and we're coming up on the last, the end of the year, so those kind of holiday tours aren't as big. Like getting out there when everybody's got holiday plans is harder. But I'm all about. I want to, play more regionally, expand that out. Texas is huge, so getting out of Texas is actually challenging. Yeah, like just the physical drive is challenging. But yeah, we're looking to expand out and play some festivals. Ultimately, I want to take it as far as I've always been. Hey, you know, everybody get your passports together. If we hit on something, we got to be able to go, and that's what I've been really pushing for. But for now, we're kind of getting back to like, let's all share the stage together and really solidify that. And that's mainly what I'm working on. Like, hit as many stages as possible, work out all the chemistry on stage, and I think we've been really doing. I saw a couple pictures recently where I was like, yeah, there it is. Okay, cool.
Oh, that's so cool. And I love the diversity of all that too. Whether you are doing more regional shows, playing a wedding reception. I mean, that not everyone in this style gets to do wedding receptions, so that's pretty cool that you get to do something like that. And yeah, if there's any potential of like being able to tour the states, being able to do a North American tour, being able to leave North America and do all of that, I mean, any opportunity is possible. And when you push yourself out there and you prep yourself ready for that, at least you won't have to necessarily say no. I mean, obviously there's always going to be exceptions that come to that, life, jobs, all of that stuff. But if it's possible, go for it. And I'm glad to see that there's a commitment to that.
Yeah, I want to go as many. I mean, I'm older as well, and you deal with kind of like how does that all impact. But I'm bolstered by, for example, our friends in High Desert Queen have really taken off, and they're just killing it. Being friends with the guys in Duel and seeing them go to Europe and do all of that, I'm like, okay, how do let's be strategic. Let's see what we can do about that. I'm excited to try to do as much of that as possible. And we just want to play with good people and entertain. The big deal is like, yeah, we want to be successful, but that success comes from really having people enjoy your music and feeling part of it. When you have an audience it's like all headbang or like moving, that's you're yelling, yeah, they want one more song, or they some lyric resonates with them. That's the true magic of it, right? And I go to as many shows as I can possibly as well. Uh, you know, Work and everything sometimes prevent that, but I try to go to as many shows just because I feel like I'm a music fan first before I was in bands, and you also, that you can't if you're not supporting your scene as well as just going out and just having a good time. What are you even doing? That's how I mean, I don't tell, like, if somebody else doesn't feel that way, that's fine. But that's how I feel.
Oh, and I totally understand it. I mean, you want to be able to have the passion of what you're performing, and you also want to be able to feel that passion whenever you go out and see a show. I mean, you want to be able to, when you go see a friend's band, whether you're discovering a new band, you're going to see a touring band, you want to be able to see that passion from the audience, everyone playing on stage, and you want to be able to have a good time yourself. So, no matter the show, whether it's a local show, a national tour, whatever, you want to be able to enjoy it. And that's such a great way to go about it.
Yeah, I probably don't mosh as much as I once did, but definitely I do try to at least not have the there's the meme where this is the best you're gonna get, and it's a person in a band with their arms crossed, like the true way a band likes you, like your arms are crossed and you have this like kind of stink face. But I really and it extends to my live performance as well. I'm not a very mysterious person. You know, there's some bands who that's the mystery is the key. Like, you know, you don't want like Uncle Acid is a mysterious band. You kind of want that mystique. But if I enjoy something, I'm in the crowd or I'm on stage, you're gonna see me smiling. Like I can't help that. I always tell people I'm kind of the Toki of the band as far as Metalocalypse goes. Like, you know, I used to work in video games. I play video games. I watch movies. There's gun models around, stuff like all that kind of stuff. I'm, a huge nerd. So that character actually resonated. I'm like, oh yeah, it's all unicorns and stuff. Yeah, that's always me. I've had people like, oh man, you look intimidating. I saw you this thing, and then I meet you, and that's not you. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That's just I can't. The band, and I approach the band the same way. Like Deserts of Mars is my soul. Like that's the purest form of creation that I have. I've written a couple comic books with friends. I've worked in video games and stuff like that. And there's always more people involved in that. Editors, there's a lot that goes into making that. But I have a fair amount of control over how the vision of the band, not in like a totalitarian way, but just when I create, when I sing, when I write lyrics, when I play my bass lines, like that's the purest energy that I have for creation. And that's what really drives me.
And in speaking of that, I also noticed that so much. I mean, audibly, there's so much to enjoy about this album, but the album cover I just find to be so vivid and so striking. And finding out there is that passion for comics as well. Like it kind of does have that feel behind it. It feels like a dark kind of graphic novel kind of feel just from the album cover alone. I mean, is that what
Oh
you were going
yeah.
for, or did you just like stumble upon that, or how did that come to be?
So I started getting inspired by a few different artists, having an art background. And then I kind of did some mock-ups, like I did a photo collage of, various things. I'm very anti-AI art once I kind of messed with it, like, what's this? And then realized, it's plagiarism machine amped to 11. And so I didn't. I took a different photo collage stuff and I sent it to a friend of mine, Sana Freeman, that I worked with. I worked at a company called Rooster Teeth. I was a tech person there, and she was a concept artist. And she had some time. She was working on Invincible, the
Oh yeah.
cartoon, and she was doing background art and other concept art on that. And she had a little bit of time, and I said, hey, would you be interested in taking this kind of vision that I kind of collaged and turning it into the actual album cover? And she'd never done, I think she'd done some stuff, but she'd never done like a full on production. The interior parts, I got another friend of mine I knew from the games industry who's done a lot of sci-fi art, Rolf Moore. And so he did all this extra interior art that's in the album. But as far as the back cover, and then a friend of mine, Paul, did all the layouts and everything. So the team effort again. Like I know where my art, like I do a lot of our Photoshop. I did our videos, for example, for the lyric videos. I did all taking that art and animating it because DIY. Like I say, that's how I have this budget. But yeah, I budget all out and I want to spend that budget. To me, like the art is what grabs you. I mean, how many times have you just been flipping through CDs, cassettes, vinyl, whatever, what have you, and gone, I don't know if this is good, but boy, do I need to have this, you know? And that's a big goal for me too. Like some of the best art. Like, I mean, can you imagine like not stopping when you saw the Iron Maiden art? Like you're gonna stop when you see that. You know, especially things like Somewhere in Time and other things. So like, yeah, I mean, we collaborated. She did an amazing job. I sent the lyrics to make sure that there were little bits and also when you see it, we haven't done vinyl yet, but when you see it at vinyl size, there's little crastronauts and creatures, the creatures that are mentioned in it. There's the Crimson Mountain that's mentioned in the song is on the back cover. The you know, it's not exactly the Temple of the Rain, but that idea of this fortress uh, was, you know, in the front cover. So all of that. And in fact, if you watch the video to I think it's Temple of the Rain, you'll see there's little Crashnaut guys that appear as the because I did it in 4K. So if you watch it in 4K, you can see them. They're tiny, including one guy who's like the guy that who always shows up late to a show. Oh man, I always caught your last song. So there's one guy who appears and he's not headbanging correctly. You'll never notice. This is the kind of dumb stuff that like I just do because I'm the animator on the project, right? But like there's these little bits in there, and I made a lot of the monsters are headbanging and stuff like that. So but yeah, collaborating that way with other artists, I've always done that. So Sana really just killed it. I'm so glad. And I'm so glad to have her art out there too, because she's amazing and just a really good person. So
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. And
that bolsters me to hear all this. I can't appreciate it. I can't appreciate it more. Like that's amazing. Thank you so much.
oh, absolutely. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to be able to promote what you're doing, being able to promote the album again coming out next month. It's like I take a passion of being able to promote the bands that whether they're brand new to me or I've known them my entire life. I want to be able to treat all those bands the same and give them the same proper promotion, give them the same great conversations, and being able to just give the best spotlight I possibly can. And the fact I can do this with someone like you who clearly has the passion on so many different things, whether it comes to the production, the songwriting, the imagery, everything that goes into it. I mean, it's something that you actually genuinely care about, and those are always the people that I love to be able to promote the most, the ones that truly care about what they're putting out. And I'm so glad that I've gotten the time to be able to talk to you about all of this.
Oh wow, thanks a million. I mean, I can't appreciate it more either. Like I just, again, like I said, we're in this bubble a lot of times. We're like, is it good? It's not. I've listened to it a million times. I think it's good. Wait, is it? So having somebody else come out and go, no, this is cool, and I want to listen to it more, and I want other people to listen to it. That means the world, because also, we don't know what touring is going to be like. So a lot of times when we're building these albums, the the idea is this is your calling card. This is what people are gonna latch onto or not. And so it has to be the best it can be at the time, right?
Oh,
So
definitely.
thanks a
Oh,
million.
of course. I'm so glad to do it. And I see Zoom is just about to cut me off, so unfortunately, I do have to call this quits. But
Cool.
I thank you so much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything to know about the band, the album. All the more reason to go check out the vinyl to be able to see all the imagery that goes along with it. Seeing the album cover in vinyl size would just be cool enough, let alone being able to see the inner workings, the back of it, all that stuff. And yeah, anyone listening and checking this out, especially in the Texas area, to see any upcoming dates and any possibilities of stuff outside of Texas as well too. I highly recommend it just off this album alone, and I just imagine that live experience is that much cooler as well. And one last time, thank you so very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in your world right now.
Awesome. And if anytime, email me. If there's anything else you want to know, anything I love. I mean, I'm a music fan first and foremost, right? So like anytime, and I can uh, email me and I'll be sure to send you the cover and stuff so you can dig deep into that. So I appreciate it. By the way, also I have to shout out Mortal Kombat 2. I played so much of that in college. It's so cool. Like I have my own geeky stuff in my background and like see like one of us